So my name is Michael Randolph, and I'm with the West Tampa Community Development Corporation. Today, I'm going to be talking about the West Tampa Public Safety Initiative. It's one of the newest initiatives that's going on in West Tampa. The Public Safety Initiative was created to provide meaningful, meaningful economic options as a deterrent to crime. And it does this in two ways. First, it focuses on reducing the number of arrests, drilling down to find out why are people being arrested and what are the options we can use in order to prevent it. Then it focus on removing those barriers to gainful economic opportunities for those with criminal records, the low and fixed income, at issue, and other people that are facing barriers to economic opportunity in West Tampa. This initiative is unique in that it relied on, as they say, people in the mud to get what they think their solution should be to solving problems in their community. So that's why we call it a bottom up from the street approach that reduces crime by creating economic opportunities. This initiative is a three-pronged initiative that focuses on prevention, intervention, and deterrence. We focus on the individual, the family, and the community because there is a co-relationship between each of these units. One major element of this initiative, and there are so many different components, is what we call conflict resolution at the street level. That is, creating targeted strategies of conflict resolution from the street level as a way to resolve interpersonal conflict. This is due largely due to the number of assaults that you'll learn about later on that are occurring in the West Tampa area. The video I'm about to show you tonight is from a meeting that was given by the West Tampa Public Safety CAC committee to address crime in the community. Our role from the West Tampa CDC perspective, and you'll see as we go throughout the video, was to provide those expertise necessary to ensure that we not only create a program that reduces crime, but one that also includes opportunities for individuals by way of economic opportunity, and one that doesn't focus on criminal justice as a way to resolve a crime in the community. So let's get started. Public safety as part of the strategy. This committee here, as chaired by Joe Robinson, is bringing that into fruition as we begin to look at how do we reduce crime in the community, and at the same time, how do we create strategies to make sure that residents in West Tampa benefit from all these programs. So this is a result of all these years of conversation, and what you see at the table is what we call a comprehensive, holistic approach to reducing crime in the community. Thank you. What is unique about the different members at this table, and I do want to give a shout out to Joe Robinson for bringing together the different players. I call it the dream team. Include different partners from city agencies, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the courts, Department of Justice, State's Attorney's Office, Department of Correction, juvenile justices, neighborhood groups and residents, Hillsborough Educational System, business community, the crisis center, because we have a major problem with mental health, substance abuse, and health. As you can see, it's a bringing together of the different players using a holistic approach to reducing crime in the community. Joe Robinson, for all that you do for the community.
Thank you, Michael Randolph, for what you do, man.
My name is Dr. Burton. I'm with the East Tampa CRA. I figured I'd introduce myself since I'm a new face here. And it's interesting. We had a little bit of a dynamic at the beginning with who sits where. We tend to get used to operating a certain way and following into a pattern of how things should work. And that's part of why I'm here today, because I feel like each of these little committees that we have are little laboratories for how to do things differently to make Tampa a better place. So I figured I got out of work early. I could come by and see what y'all are doing. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you so much, Mike. From Baltimore. Yeah, you've never been to Baltimore. Ain't no crime in Tampa, period. Okay, if you've never been to Baltimore, I mean, this is lovely. And Mike, I'm gonna give you a little time. You had your hand.
One of the reasons that I'm speaking tonight at this particular meeting was my background and experience in working in public safety initiatives in some of the most violent and crime-infested communities in the United States. That's one of the reasons why they asked us to serve as an expert, in addition to the other experts, in providing the public safety initiative for West Tampa. So here I'm going to talk about some of the things in my past and how it is relevant to the current.
That's the only reason. Unless somebody on the chair just died, on the committee died. Are you done? And I agree with you. Before we start doing that we need to have a reference point on what is a solution. But Mike, you got a few minutes.
Yeah,
you have a question?
Committee right here, public safety.
Not at this time.
Oh, y'all just threw me off.
No, that was on it yet.
You're on the agenda for replace Sandy Sanchez.
Okay. Anyway, answer this gentleman's question. This software allows you to compare community to community, year to year, and week to week. This is a very powerful type of tool that you can use to help you fight crime in your community. My question is that when we look at the numbers from 2021 using this software, in 2022, we see a limited number of assaults that's going on in West Tampa, minus the people that's killed. We see a large number of assaults that are occurring in the West Tampa area related to overall crime. That's concerning to me because as we begin to talk about how do we solve and create a safe community, we can't do that with all those assaults. That's why we're talking about using an approach, socioeconomic approach, to reduce the level of crime that's in the community because we cannot police our way out of this. My experience is from national experience from around the nation in some of the worst neighborhoods in the country. That's one of the strategies that they're using. And I definitely will be presenting that to the committee since I'm not a committee. Y'all just threw me off. And what really works in terms of not only policing, but also other strategies. Like, for example, we use a strategy that deals with how do we deal with the school to prison situation. We have to deal with that. How do we deal with people that's coming back into the system to make sure that we're not repeating things? How do we deal with at-risk youth? All these things are part of the overall strategy that we use. But my most concerning thing is that from these numbers right here, this is good software, it's really hotspot, that's other software you can use as well, is the number of assaults. When y'all go on here, you're going to be surprised at the number of simple assaults, not aggressive assaults, but simple assaults lead to aggressive assaults. That's why one of the things we want to focus on is how do we reduce violence in the community in order to make sure that we reduce that level. And a lot of that stuff is coming from domestic violence. Domestic violence leads to street violence. they have a correlationship between each other. So that's what I said other than being embarrassed, because I thought it was part of this committee.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I just want to add to what he's saying. Sometimes when we go back to our numbers, we tend to look at 2019 more than 2020 and 2021 because we're still, as a community, getting over the anomaly of COVID. What happened in 2020 and 2021, everybody went home. We thought that crime would go down. It did not. It in fact went up. And domestic violence did get up because everybody was together and they were at home and they had no outlet, they had nowhere to go. So we're seeing now that people are going back to work, they're going back to school, that those crimes are no longer happening, that social activities have resumed. So the assaults are going down, but you're absolutely correct. In 2021, we did have a spike in assaults. And we attributed that to everybody being home. And that was an anomaly because of everything that was going on in the country at the time. And, we're seeing that rapidly decline.
Okay, Mr.
And this is, yes.
Marketability, I need to be able to compare it. So if I know that it's about on par with this neighborhood, that neighborhood, this neighborhood, then I can say, look, businesses are driving here, here, and here. Don't be afraid. It gives off a vibe.
This particular business person that's talking now wanted to make sure that we would be able to compare crime to crime in one community to another community, so we can compare and have a baseline. Part of the things that we've been tasked to do related to this group is to create that database or that baseline to show when crime is happening, what is the time of the day, what day is of the week is most likely the crime is committed, the type of crime, all these things. In addition to that, because of our expertise, we're going to be looking at who's committing crime, why they committing the crime, and begin to look at solvable solutions in that particular respect. So we're tasked with the why, the what, the how, and the when it comes to doing data analysis as well.
That maybe is false, that it's not as bad as you think it is, whatever. So that'd be amazing if we could have some kind of like.
Well, here's the problem here. Here's what's happening, okay? We all busy people. We're all volunteers. There are a few people in this room getting a paycheck. Okay, I know I ain't getting that.
Possible if we provide you the layer and just to your GIS analyst and just insert it in there so that they can turn off the district layer and turn on the PI layer.
Yeah, because this is zigzag. I can get with the analyst and see what he can put in there, but you can type in any address. You can type in Ybor City, filter it the same way.
Would an analyst time be considered, we bought a camera for all this money and can't nobody find a part for it, throw it in the garbage can and get us a new one. Okay, because that don't make no sense. It makes no sense, but we'll get to that camera now. Is there anything else in the Major Cake? Thank you so much, because I couldn't explain all that. You did an excellent job. Are you satisfied now, Jeanette?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right.
I think that's your expert to pull up your stats right there.
Yeah,
He knows how to do.
As you notice, they showed me my props. The major talked about my expertise at the table, and especially as it relates to using this new system of collecting data and having a background and working in high crime neighborhoods for over 20 years. So the major did give a good report at that particular meeting.
He can help with
Who that?
spreadsheet. Because you can build your own spreadsheet.
Right. Yeah, I saw it uses.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Yeah.
What you say? Let's go now.
He'll do your stats.
Yeah, just a quick one that me is the West Tampa CDC. And the West Tampa CDC will do anything to bring out expertise to make the deal work, including if it's necessary that we bring in that data that we want to look for, because we can use the software to do everything that you talked about.
As long as you keep it in that CRA boundaries, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'll keep it to the extent possible. In the CRA area.
Okay, because this is good, man.
Buffer this a little bit, but the majority of it will give it
Okay.
80 to 85% most 90% interpretation of what does crime look like. That way you can decide.
Well, let's get you on the board then.
Yeah.
Well, even if I'm down the board, CDC
Okay.
is
All right.
committed to
Okay,
whatever y'all do.
all right.
Joe,
Okay, I seen at the corner of my eye, Miss
quick
Garcia.
question. So would you like me to add Mr. Randolph as an agenda, a standing agenda item for stats reporting? Well, that'd be good.
If you're gonna be ready in 30, don't put yourself out there now if you ain't gonna be ready, mate. Don't embarrass yourself.
You take like 15 minutes.
I hear you.
Yeah, it's easy.
I hear you.
On demand.
So pretty much, one of the things that we're gonna be doing from the West Tampa side of the table is to present reports every week relevant to reducing crime in the community, explaining what crime look like, analyzing the numbers, making the numbers make sense, and working with the community in that particular respect. And of course, I'm honored to be able to use all the experience I have in working in some of the most poorest and crime-ridden communities in the country, to have the opportunity to use that skill set to make it work in West Tampa.
World. This information is available to you on demand.
Yeah, I hear that, but I'm not finna mess with it. I'm telling you, I'm an engineer with a PE license and been in business for 33 years. I ain't finna touch that. So what I'm saying is you gonna get that done for the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just let me know what you need.
We heard this discussion today.
Well, I'll bring you back what you talked about plus more.
Yeah, we can start. As long as we start, and then we can fine tune. As long as we started, then we'll move forward. I believe in muddling through on some things, but I ain't muddling through on these cameras. Okay. All right. So, is there anything else of anyone at the committee? And I thank y'all for being here. Is there anything else, Major Kate? Cause you busy. Okay. Is there anything else at all? Anything, Ms. Jones?
I love what you're saying, because a lot of actions that law enforcement, that government takes to address crime are directed by.
This guy here, I think he's either from the U.S. Attorney's Office or the Department of Justice, or I'm not sure what specifically agent he's from, but I do know he's going to be a good connect, because he's going to be through our connect to the correction and the corrections as well as juvenile justice as part of our strategy to deal with part of our strategy dealing with returning citizens and making sure that we have connection to the penal system before they hit the streets and preparing them for the streets. So he's going to be very helpful in that respect, as well as other things that we're going to need. As a matter of fact, all of the players at the table come with a unique extension of people that they know. So we're looking forward to working with him. He also understood that I understood from a public safety initiative on how to solve problems, and he highlights me a couple times in terms of gesturing towards me to show what we bring to the table as a CDC.
Perceptions of crime versus the reality of crime. So having that data so that we actually know what we're working on is going to be key.
Mm-hmm.
Our last meeting, we talked about a high-profile shooting that occurred, I believe it was in December. Talked a little bit about it, and you and others have had discussion with Chief Burkhardt and looked at the actual violent crime data, and the actual data reflects a different picture. Now, clearly, there are issues there. I spent half of today walking around Howard and Main to kind of get the vibe of what's going on. See a lot of quality of life stuff going on over there. I think the CRA wants to elevate the entire area, right?
Right.
So we haven't talked about SEPTED. SEPTED is a principle that the CRA has incorporated in their strategic plan, but we haven't talked about actually doing a SEPTED analysis of that specific area, identifying trends that we need to address. We haven't even done that yet. The analysis would be, okay, what types of interventions, whether it be locally, internationally, would address those types of identified needs. And then, of course, you would respond. CRA would respond, And then we assess, are these interventions accomplishing what we thought they would do? The set design, the cameras, are they eliminating crime? So I think just deciding what kind of model we're going to adopt.
Can you please put that in?
Where we are. Do we need to do more analysis? Does our subject matter expert on the TBD data?
They call me a subject matter expert. Okay.
System does it need to pull more data? Do we want to focus again? You mentioned some really good longitudinal issues.
Yeah.
So addressing, poverty issues, addressing returning citizens coming back to the community from jail. These are all very, very important things. And there are other things going on.
All these are great ideas, and Mike Randolph is my very good friends because we have a similar train of thinking as far as how we combat certain things. But CRA's been basically on the target for the legislature for years as far as to get.
The current speaker is Jesus. He's the CAC manager for West Tampa, and he's always making sure that folks understand the scope of the CRA.
Get rid of community development areas, which are meant to reduce slum and blight. But we're very limited. We have to be very creative in what we do within our scope that we're very limited in doing. Just in 2019, they took out a very critical word out of the statute. You can do this, but not limited to the following. 2019, they took out that but limited. So you can do this, and that's it. So it's mostly infrastructure items, capital projects, and community policing innovations is still in there. And affordable housing is still in there. But the rest of it is very infrastructure, hardcore infrastructure. And that's why we try to partner a lot with outside agencies that do what we can't do. For instance, Robert, Michael Randolph, and the rest here. And they do what we can't do. We just try to work together.
This a quick one to supplement what they was saying. As the CDC, we can go over the socioeconomic dollars that the CRA doesn't have. And those socioeconomic dollars is what reduces crime. For example, and I hope you support me on this, for every one crime that's reported, 3 or 4 or 5 crimes are going unreported. So when you look at crime in your community, expand. Because with every one crime, there's 3 or 4 or maybe 5 crimes that's unreported.
And I believe the city just put out their notice of the SCORE grant money.
Let's do an observation as to 2 other entities that should be part of this. Department of Correction and Juvenile Justice as well. Because if we're talking about reducing recidivism, we need the Department of Correction to be in there before they hit the streets. So we got a plan for them. So I'm suggesting.
Because I like to see talking about the violated with roads standing around. Okay, and that's why we need to get that 13th Circuit to get this information and Jesus. And sir, would you please make sure?
Because he mentioned I'm the vice chair of the 13th Juvenile Justice Board.
Oh, okay.
So I'm plugged into BJJ and their data, so I have ready access to that. I'm also on the Circuit 13 Public Safety Coordinating Council.
Okay.
So I work with Department of Corrections, Patrick Barentine, and
we need you, man.
And Elder Martinez is Bay Area
Youth Services.
Service.
We got
he's the former chair of the juvenile.
All right, we got it going on now. The next meeting.